Born in 1856 in what is now the Czech Republic, Sigmund Freud is widely regarded as the father of modern psychology. While his theories have been subject to continuous debate since their introduction, and many of them are now widely discredited, his ideas remain influential both in the field of psychology and in popular culture. But what exactly were those ideas? Well, one of the most enduring concepts, and the one we'll be discussing today, is the idea of the three separate parts of the mind: the ego, the superego, and the id. What are those? Well, let's start at the very bottom of the Freudian trio, the id. If you've ever seen an image of a little angel and a little devil on someone's shoulder, you can think of the id as the devil. Its only concerns are immediate gratification. It wants a lot of things, it wants them all at once, and it doesn't care if they're bad for it in the end. It also has the distinction of being the only part of the trio to operate entirely unconsciously. So obviously, we would all be dead pretty quick if we just used our id. Thankfully, we have a way to control it just a little bit. Our ego. Like the id, it is also motivated by pleasure. But unlike the id, it understands the concept of pain and that bad things will happen to us if we just do whatever we want. So it makes realistic decisions and compromises, and guides the raw power of the id in a direction that will result in more overall happiness. If the id is the horse, then the ego is the person riding it. But what about other people's happiness? After all, if we only look out for ourselves, society as we know it wouldn't exist. Enter the third, final, and most powerful part of the psyche, the superego. The superego consists of the conscience, which makes us feel guilty when we don't meet certain standards, and the ideal self, which is the aforementioned standard it wants you to meet. And while it's not entirely unconscious like the id, you probably won't be aware of it most of the time. Instead, the ego will take it into consideration and make a decision based on avoiding guilt. If this all sounds a bit familiar, that's probably because you see it acted out quite a bit in fiction. One of the most simple and common ways to build characterization is to have a trio of characters that each represent one part of the Freudian trio. From McCoy, Kirk, and Spock in Star Trek, to Legolas, Aragorn, and Gimli in The Lord of the Rings, to Sarah Connor, John Connor, and the T-800 in Terminator, and special credit to Piggy, Ralph, and Jack of The Lord of the Flies, who not only fit the roles perfectly, but illustrate just what would happen if the other two parts of the trio couldn't quite keep the id in check. Freud was a man with many questionable ideas, but his theory of the mind left a lasting impression on our culture, and to this day forms the basis of a great deal of media we consume.